Welcome to Trivial Debates.
Music stopped.
Okay, now we're good to go. All right. Welcome to this month's edition of Trivial Debates, the ultimate pop culture challenge. I'm your host. Name. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff Mader.
Doing that joke for 5 years.
Easily 5 years.
We have some awesome new debates this month that I came up with myself. Yes, because I'm so smart. Each episode, our panelists will be judged and scored by me on their arguments and facts for passion and creativity, and also knowledge. Our panelists this week, we have the champ, Jody Simpson. There
Thank
he
you.
is.
Thank you, Jeff. I must say you're looking striking today, Jeff.
Thank you. I dressed up.
Thank you.
Already buttering him up.
Back again, we have Jaemeel Robinson. How are you, Jaemeel?
I'm all right, Jeff. You look like complete trash. I don't have to worry about compliments because my arguments will do all the work for me.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. I don't need to be buttered up. Okay, and finally, but not leastly, we have Maxx Duda here, ready to argue his arguments. How are you?
The stash is going to lead me to victory, gentlemen. The stash is going to lead me to victory.
I'm getting a phone call from the 70s. They want their porn stash back.
They can't have it. It's mine now.
He's taking it back.
Yeah,
He's taking it back.
Okay,
You can't handle the truth.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a great monologue.
And speaking of Dave, producer.
Oh yeah, and we have in the background Dave, the producer, the voice of God. Okay.
High school football room.
That's right.
That's really obnoxious.
Okay, so this is how the show works, guys, and I know you guys know, but the audience might not, so we're going to run through it. There are 6 rounds, plus a speed round, but we'll get to that later. There is a movies question, TV, music, sports, history, and wild card. Okay. I'm going to pose a question that you guys have already come up with an answer previously, and you're going to argue for that debate. We want people to be passionate, not personally mean to one another as much as possible. I mean, Jody, we know,
Why am I always singled out on this one?
I have to go with what this says in the script.
It actually says that in the script?
No.
It probably should.
Keep in mind, you could also skip to a new debate by looking at the time indexes in the description and going to the battles that you interest you the most. So if you don't want to listen to Max argue his music question, you can just jump right to sports. Okay.
I feel very targeted. I'm feeling good about my music answer now.
No, your porn stash makes you targeted.
I don't remember what your musical answer was. Okay.
Unmemorable.
Let's unforgettable. Okay, let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Okay. Wait, let me just pull up my questions here.
It's down at the bottom.
It's
Okay.
literally
Down on the bottom.
Oh, there it is.
Right on the bottom.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, producer Dave, the voice of God.
That
What
was
is the movie question? What is the worst movie with the best musical score / soundtrack that elevates it to a great movie? Okay, we're going to start this round at the top with the champ, Jody Simpson.
Thank you. And as I said, you are looking striking today.
Thank you.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, so the movie I picked was a 1993 movie, which was called Judgment Night. And anybody who isn't familiar with this movie, it's actually a movie with a lot of star power that did terrible. The box office actually only did 12 million, where the budget was actually 21 million, probably because they had to pay for all these actors, such as Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., Stephen Dorff, Jeremy Piven, and of course Dennis Leary as the bad guy. The thing that made the soundtrack to this movie fantastic is it was actually a collaboration between rock and rap. So you had basically 2 different bands, one from each genre, working on each one of the songs that were in the actual movie. So, for instance, you had House of Pain with Helmet, you had Teenage Fan Club with De La Soul, Biohazard and Onyx, Slayer, Ice-T. So these were all big names in rock and rap in 1990s. And of course, what I thought was really good about the music was the fact that it actually tied in really well, because it's I forgot we only have like a minute now, eh?
Yeah, well, but we'll get back to your arguments in the crossover. But Jaemeel,
no problem.
Jaemeel, let's go with what you chose here in this category.
All right. So let me set the stage. You have what seemingly is the champ, and the champ is successful. The champ is good, and up comes a new challenger from the cold country of Russia, the Empire. And we have this story, poor story, that is Rocky IV, a movie that is, as mediocre is putting it very, very nicely. It is a terrible movie from top to bottom. But what makes it great is the soundtrack and score. Vince DiCola takes what is a pile of rubbish and turns it into something that is miraculously somewhat enjoyable, an enjoyable feature. And it's soundtrack that features Survivor, Gladys Knight, Kenny Loggins, among others. It is a brilliant example of music and score.
Even Rocky had a montage. Okay, Maxx Duda, we are going to go to you. What did you choose for this answer?
So, well, my two competitors, I think, missed the mark here because they went with movies that were truly terrible and just kind of stayed terrible. And even audiences agreed with that. I went with a movie that actually was terrible, but audiences loved because of the music, and that's Frozen. Let's be honest. Frozen in and of itself is not a great story. It's a fairly generic story. It's a fairly Disney, very simplified Disney story. But the powerhouse vocals of Idina Menzel and the overall writing and music behind the story was breathtakingly beautiful. Like it rocked the world. It became a cult phenomenon, and it elevated a truly fairly mediocre Disney story into one of the greatest Disney movies of all time. It's okay, Davin. Yes, it might be unlistenable to you, but for the masses, it was a phenomenon. Like it was an international craze. Everyone knows that. Let It Go because of how powerful it was.
Okay, thank you, Max. Okay, so now we're going to the general debate timeline here, and we're gonna just start with whoever wants to jump in and start arguing.
I'll start.
Jody.
Yep.
Critically acclaimed Frozen, dude. Seriously, that's a terrible choice, right? It was.
I agree.
Like, if you actually look at the actual storyline in the script, like that movie was a fairly generic and Disney simplified.
You mean like every Disney movie?
Yes, basically you're saying
yes.
The movie was a Disney movie,
and the music itself boosted it up into being one of the top selling and one of the most watched Disney movies of all time. The music
soundtrack
made
didn't
it great.
Yes, the soundtrack didn't make that happen.
No,
yeah, I agree.
Absolutely, it did. We don't get a cult phenomenon like Let It Go.
Can you please tell me the timeline of when Let It Go hit versus the movie being released?
I think it was like a week before.
That's what I was gonna say.
Not the week before. No, it was actually a little bit after. It wasn't the first single that came out for that movie. It actually grew over a period of time. So the movie was successful, and then the movie became even more successful. So I disagree with that.
The movie was successful because people loved the song, like Let It Go. The
movie was successful.
No.
Okay. You're only saying Let It Go. What else did Frozen? What else is part of the soundtrack?
Well, that was the major song, but you
like Love is an Open Door. You're not mentioning whatsoever as being a major plot point. No.
Love is an
No?
Open Door was a good one. The other one that was really big for that one was with the snowman there. What was?
Yeah,
what was
you
it
don't
called?
even remember the song.
What was the song
Oh
called?
no. Okay, so Jody, this seems like a conversation between the adults. Max,
I think
great
so,
try.
yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Wait. I want to hear from Max. Max, why? Name me why Judgment Night or Rocky 4 doesn't. Why they're wrong? Tell me, because they just kind of went at you.
Because Frozen was a critical and commercial success. Neither one of those movies had any kind of success. Like Rocky 4 is widely regarded as one
Rocky
of the worst.
4 did $400 million. Are you fucking retarded?
Oh, dude. Oh no, Daddy, no.
I'm
It
gonna
did
watch.
$400 million.
If
How
I'm
did
gonna
it
walk-
not be successful? In the 80s, it did $400
I'm
million.
gonna watch a Rocky movie. I'm not.
It was the
watching
most
Rocky
successful
4.
sports movie until The Blind Side came.
But I will say, and to your credit, Max, the soundtrack did not make that movie at all. Okay, there was nothing in that. There was nothing in that soundtrack other than the standard generic '80s music that they threw in
Are you-
all of those movies back.
Are you talking
then.
about Rocky 4?
I'm
Oh,
absolutely
sir.
talking about Rocky
Sir,
4.
you are so wrong. It is great.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
that's your
Ro-
opinion.
Ro-
Vince
Rocky
DiCola
4
took over. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
You two have picked movies that were very commercially successful. I picked a movie that bombed, but still to this day has huge recognition because of the actual music
So
in
you're
it.
saying it bombed
And
and
it
the music
actually
didn't
has
elevate it?
done better in the past, and it is now starting to actually. People are starting to rank it higher now because of the fact that the soundtrack elevates it.
Elevates
Sorry,
it.
I'm
You know, I
yeah,
know
there
what
we
you're
go.
saying.
Apparently, I've been drinking this morning,
I
and,
Who hasn't?
and it just elevates. And out of all these movies, I guarantee you guys probably haven't even seen mine.
I've seen Judgment
Right?
Night.
Have you?
I
So Frozen, I've seen 1,000 times, unfortunately.
It's
And Davin's absolutely correct. The soundtrack is terrible. It's so
It's the worst of
terrible
Idina
to listen
Menzel's
to.
career.
But kids enjoy it, and we're not the only demographic that they're going for here. And same thing with Rocky. Rocky has a good soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, but it is the generic stuff. It wasn't a collaboration that was made specifically for the movie. It was just
Absolutely
a bunch of
incorrect, and
like
I'll
one or
state
two
why.
songs that were made for the movie.
I will.
So-
That's absolutely incorrect, and I'll show you why. Vince DiCola took over for Bill Conti. Bill Conti did the first 3 Rocky films. He did Rocky
Yep.
1, 2, and 3. A whimsical
did.
tale about a person, a rags to riches story. It's heavily influenced of strings, kind of detailing that fairy tale story. Vince DiCola took over because Rocky 4 is a war picture. It's heavy
Now, can you
emphasis
see all
on
this with
drums.
your eyes closed?
Heavy
One of these
emphasis on
movies had
Or are
a
you just
Grammy-
reading off of
right?
a
One,
website?
one of these movies won a Grammy and an Oscar for Best Original Song.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Mine didn't.
Yours didn't,
Mine-
for sure.
Nope.
Right?
But
Rocky
guys,
4,
by the way,
Rocky 4
what-
was so jam-packed in terms of quality songs that Glory of Love, right, was
My
written for it
soundtrack
and was
was gold in
rejected.
2 weeks.
Rejected because Rocky 4 soundtrack was so great.
Okay. Here's the deal, guys. I'm between Jaemeel and Max on this one because
Really?
as much as and the reason why is because Jody, yes,
Because
you
you're
mentioned-
biased? No, I'm just kidding.
No, on this one.
I'm kidding, yeah.
I didn't get a lot of that you talked a little bit about Jody about the music, but like you just kind of mentioned like the artists. I didn't really like what songs were in it, what elevated the scene. So I think I have to give this one to Jaemeel actually because I think he argued best for his movie.
He did.
But it was close though. Max, I almost gave it to.
I'm okay with that.
Good
Okay.
choices, everyone.
This
Yes,
is bullshit.
Even you, Max.
Thank you, Jaemeel.
Okay, let's move on to the TV category. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun.
What animated TV show had the best storyline in the medium? And we're going to start with the animated film TV geek himself, Jaemeel Robinson.
All right. So my choice is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, a story of 2 brothers who lost their mother and used magic to try to bring her back. But unfortunately, tragedy strikes and they lose. One loses their body and the other one loses his arm and leg. And it propels them into this story that explores the military-industrial complex about immigration and political uprisings and these two characters are at the center of it as they travel throughout various countries in pulled into this conflict, and it has an ending, a beautiful ending, and it is one of the best storylines in the medium. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I
Wow.
return my time
You have 3 seconds left on the clock. All right.
now.
I yield my time.
He banks it.
Yeah, to the representative Maxx Duda. Okay, Max. Let's what is your answer for this question?
One of the
It can't be
greatest
Frozen.
one of the greatest animated TV shows to ever grace the television sets around the world is undoubtedly and unquestionably Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is a show that had the new it was a kids show, but it had the nuances of the war, the political strife, the cultural differences. That there was all these aspects that were ingrained in it that allowed it to be not just a kid show. This is a show for everyone. This is a show that had a love story. It had grief. It had loss. It had, everything you could ever want from a great show. But just like Jameel's, it had an ending that was beautiful, well balanced, and gave you a sense of a sense of a purpose, a sense of an ending. Like it truly walked off in the best possible moment. And the fact that it was only 3 seasons and they were able to wrap everything up beautifully, everything was timed out really nicely. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Max. Moving on to Jody Simpson. Jody, what do you have for this answer?
Well, I went a little different. I went with a more of an full adult show, which is actually Archer. And the reason why I went with this is because not only is it engaging storylines, but they know when it's done and they reinvent it. So what ends up happening is every couple seasons, they come up with a different type of thing, such as Archer Vice, which is essentially a retelling and a kind of them hanging out in Miami and dealing with the whole Miami Vice type theme. And then they end up doing something like Danger Island, which is more of a kind of, volcano islands and Mad Men type thing. And then they get into some of the futuristic stuff like 1999. So what they do is whenever the storyline starts to get to its closing, they reinvent themselves and continue on. And I think that's what makes a TV show much more watchable, is because and the two answers that my colleagues here have given are fantastic examples of that. But you're done. Whereas with mine, I get a full nice storyline, and then they reinvent themselves and start all over again. And you have similar characters, but they have different types of points. And just overall, I think that's what makes a long-lasting TV show that makes me want to keep coming back and watch it.
Okay, all right. Okay. We're going to the general debate time here. Let's start with Max. We'll, you get it started off here, and then we'll let Jaemeel jump in.
So, once again, I got to go back to the fact that Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the most complete shows in animated history. It gave you a beginning, a middle, end. It gave a beautiful story arc across all of them. The different books are beautifully woven together. The storyline flows so naturally. And while I do like Archer, my biggest issue with that one is it's yes, it reinvents itself, but what's to stop it from reinventing itself into something everyone's going to hate? What's to stop it from like at least with Avatar: The Last Airbender, there was
same thing with your 2 picks. That can always happen. Just because your shows have ended doesn't make that any less significant.
Jody,
no, they can't.
One simple question: what storyline are you referring to?
All of them.
It says, "What is the best storyline?" Singular. Can you please provide one from Archer?
If I had to pick the best storyline, probably the first 3 seasons, which is the standard show.
Can you summarize what is the arc that occurs?
Well, there's multiple arcs. It's a long running show. It's not a story driven show the way that you guys have made yours. But the same thing can be said about both of yours. You guys have multiple storyline arcs that do happen. There is an overall generic thing, such as obviously Avatar is probably the more of that one. But overall, the storyline itself and the fact that I keep coming back to the show is the reason why I enjoy it. I understand where you're trying to go here, Jaemeel, and I get it. But
Already
both of
went
you
there.
pick safe picks. You both have very safe picks.
I disagree.
Which is fantastic.
It's not safe.
I'm trying to actually rub things a little differently. So
Okay.
Wait,
that's the reason why.
Jody,
It's not
I
safe.
appreciate you
I'm
rubbing.
sure,
I like a good
Quizmaster
dry
himself,
rub.
Jeff, is the one that
the-
gets to determine that, not you.
I
They
enjoy
are
a
not
good
safe
dry
picks.
rub.
They are true pick. Like the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood are two
Yep.
of the greatest story-driven animated series to date.
Thank you.
And the difference.
I wouldn't
being-
disagree with you.
The difference being between those two, however, is while Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a very good show, it was geared more towards an older audience, like at least a little bit so. Avatar: The Last
For sure.
Airbender,
It's an adult show, but that doesn't make anything different.
but
I
Avatar: The
agree.
Last Airbender was a show that anyone could watch. Like you could watch it with your 5-year-old kid.
I had
They
no
would ha- they
interest
would have-
watching Airbender, and I love anime.
Mm.
No interest at all.
That's
Say
your own
that.
personal preference.
Oh,
That's your own
we
personal
didn't go there.
preference.
Max,
But-
Max, I disagree in terms of how Airbender kind of resolved things. It was ridiculously known for kind of easing up on whatever solutions that occurred. It didn't really go all the way to show the impacts of war that it was talking about. A good example is when Jet passed away. We didn't even find out about him dying until like a recap episode later on in season 3.
But there were those kind of nuances with Full Metal Brotherhood, Full Metal Alchemist.
Hit me
Brotherhood
with
as
an
well.
example.
What happens to like half the garrison at what's it called the Northern Fort that Armstrong's sister runs?
Mm-hmm.
There's
So
a couple of
storylines also need to be accessible, guys. And some
That's
of the
true.
problems that we have with this is the fact that Full Metal Alchemist is a very niche audience.
yes.
Let's be honest, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but it is a niche audience. Not everybody's going to want to pick that one up. The same thing with Avatar. Avatar, I already told you, I'm not interested in watching it. I've seen some of the episodes. It wasn't my thing. I'm not saying it's crap because it's not. But it's not my thing. It's not an accessible show.
So
And
let's just
it's more-
add
it's
in
more
terms-
accessible.
Three of
It's
these.
more accessible than Archer.
Yes,
No,
Like
it's
of
not.
the
just
three, of the
because
three
it
of
is
them,
quote
It's
unquote
only
not
kids,
considered
maybe.
accessible
There's
doesn't
a lot of adults that aren't gonna watch
talk about
Airbender.
its quality as
It's-
best. There's great pieces of
It's-
literature that people don't read. Doesn't mean it's not great literature.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have my decision on this one, and only one person is going to be happy with it.
Of course.
Max wins this round for me.
No,
Oh, there we
Good job, Max.
Max.
Although-
Oh, you're
You know,
Mary Sue of
The moment you said Full Metal, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a tough one." I'm gonna because I love Brotherhood. I'm
Aang
like,
is a Mary Sue.
yeah, but
He learns how to he removes other people's powers, and it's not really even detailed by the line and gave it to him. It's just like we just gave him that power, you know. He has his avatar ability, his avatar state. Korra takes until the end of season 1 to learn it. It's a defense mechanism.
This is why Max won, because we ended up talking more about Avatar than any of these other shows. And I think Max had a good point that it was the most accessible, and it is definitely got and only a 3-season show, and you guys talked about it more than anything else. So I think that's why Max gets this point.
Full Metal Alchemist is 3 seasons, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Let's go on to the what is it?
Music.
The music category here. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. All right. So, go. Sticking with that Rocky IV theme, what do you consider to be the best album of the 1980s?
Not Rocky 4.
Not Rocky IV. All right. We'll start with Max on this round.
all right. For my pick for the '80s soundtrack, I decided to go with one of the most quintessential albums of all time, an album that gave us absolutely some of the biggest sports venue songs of all time. AC/DC's Back in Black. Like the amount of hockey teams, football teams, basketball teams back in the 80s, 90s, and even today that would listen to, Thunderstruck to get pumped up, listen to Hell's Bells to get rolling, that is an album that defined a generation and is my pick for this round.
Okay. Number 2 all time in sales in the 1980s.
Wow.
Okay. Moving on to Jody. What did you pick?
I picked what I grew up with because I was the guy listening to music in the 80s. I don't know if the other two can say that, but not necessarily an advantage, quite honestly. Especially my knees would tell you that. I picked Michael Jackson, Thriller.
Okay.
And yes, the reason why I picked this, and I'm sure everybody saw this one coming. This is a masterpiece. Now, this is somebody who already sold a fantastic album, which was Off the Wall. But Michael Jackson, being 23 years old, is making this with Quincy Jones. And he already sold 8 million copies of his previous album. This one sold 40 million copies, guys. This is an album that won 150 gold platinum awards. It's got great songs like, Want to Be Starting Something, Thriller, obviously, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, Pretty Young Thing. Like, these are all songs that everybody knows. And just overall, fantastic album. It took almost a year to make. And they actually went through 300 songs and actually picked these ones for the album, which just makes it a fantastic choice and a great selling album.
Okay, thank you, Jody. All right, and finally we have Jaemeel. What are you bringing to this answer?
Well, when she was 17, she did what people told her, and now she's in control. Janet Jackson's control is my choice. It is a story about a girl becoming a woman, taking control of her life, and the music does an excellent job of detailing that information. It becomes the template to popular women's music albums creation, with both a focus on the artistic expression as well as feminism being brought into the forefront. It is also the grandfather of New Jack Swing. It is a very successful album, and in many ways can be considered a little bit more successful than Thriller in some aspects, but we'll go into detail in the debate.
Okay, so we have 2 choices from the Jackson family and AC/DC. Okay.
Musical family and icons.
Yes.
So obviously that would make sense.
Okay, general debate. Go ahead, Jody.
I'll
just
start.
to start off, Jeff, I have a statement.
Am I not allowed to start? You have to start every time. Is that how this works?
Don't worry. It's
okay. Go ahead.
Jeff,
He
did
let me
I
start.
choose any of those 2 albums when I submitted mine? It was wholly independent. I didn't put Thriller in and then go, oh, Jody picked it, I gotta pick something else.
No, you did not. You and like Janet
Congratulations,
Jackson.
you picked something different than me.
No, I just want to clarify that. I just
does
want
that
to
help
sure.
you? Just out of curiosity.
Janet Jackson's
continue on.
Control is not exactly.
I picked an album from my history. I have that album on vinyl. Like
I do have my. I could just go and run over and get my Control.
Yeah, I can go grab mine too if you want. But the
Max, do you have AC/DC Back in Black?
I do actually. I bought that. I got that. I mean, I didn't buy it when it came out. My dad actually did buy it when it came out. He's got the vinyl version of it. So I bought the re-release.
There's
and
an
I
age difference here, though.
Yes. 28. So yeah, I missed the mark on that one by 13 years.
Yeah.
I think you're still missing the mark though, but that's okay.
Okay.
Well,
Why?
okay. Back in Black is
Jody,
one of the. Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I go now?
Yes, you may go, Jody.
All right. I'll make this really quick. AC/DC Back in Black, very, very influential album on rock. I won't disagree with you. However, is this the album that everybody thinks of? Is this the poster that's on the wall in the 80s scenes? No.
Yes.
People don't look at this album as being the 80s quintessential album. Mine is. Even I'll even give Janet Jackson. I remember seeing Control posters all over the place too. But you know what? I didn't see AC/DC posters that far in that point. And you got to remember, AC/DC was already popular at this point, as so was Michael Jackson. Janet Jackson was definitely not as popular as the other two at this point, but was still a
This
fantastic album. And
Yeah.
yes, Jaemeel is absolutely right. That album does tell a story. And it is, the main issue with Janet Jackson is the fact that she was more known not just for the music, but more for her choreography, as well as her show and stage presence. She was fantastic for that. But when it comes to overall sales, this is the music answer, guys. This isn't the choreography answer. This isn't this is best-selling albums. And with that mine is clearly the winner here. Like there's everybody
it's
looks
not
back
clearly.
at this album as being, this is the blueprint for how to make an 80s album. Like
It's
Thriller
not
is a
clearly the winner,
fantastic album. This is the one that triggered, music television to be where it was. Like this is a no-brainer. I don't even know why we're still talking about this.
We're
No.
talking about this because AC/DC's Back in Black is one of the most quintessential albums of
Yeah,
all
quintessential
time.
for hockey arenas. That's what it's for.
No,
Okay,
no.
It's
There's no
it's a
diversity
fantastic
in the
album. I like
songs.
AC/DC.
one of
Some
the
people don't.
greatest pump-ups playlists of all
Yeah,
time.
Jock Jams made a lot of money off of AC/DC.
Max,
I
and what's
agree.
diversity
What's more
earned the
shocking?
songs?
What's more shocking by the fact is that not only was this one of the most quintessential albums of all time, this is the first album they did with a brand new singer. This is a completely different person,
Doesn't mean anything.
And
and they absolutely
it happens all the
nailed it
time.
out of the
Yeah.
park.
Okay,
killed
Control
it.
was the first Janet Jackson album that had Jimmy Jam and Tyler Riley involved in it.
The
Congratulations,
playlist
you
on the
added
album
more
is
things to the
handpicked from
pot.
300 songs from Quincy Jones, a legend in music. A legend in music.
All right,
And
I have a,
you have
but-
Michael
but-
Jackson,
but-
who's also a legend in music.
I have a
Correct.
question for you
but to
guys.
go in, okay.
Real quick. Name me your best song off your album that wasn't a single. Jody, go.
Well, that's hard because almost all of mine were.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't even remember which one wasn't a single. I think they all were at one point.
Thriller's
Shit,
a unique
which one
album
can I
that
pick?
way. But okay, we'll come back to you, Jody. All right.
Okay.
Max.
Let me bring up the track listing. I got to be safe here.
I'm torn between Have a Drink on Me and Give a Dog a Bone. Those are both fantastic songs off that album, and I don't believe either one was ever listed as a single.
Okay.
The singles on that album are fantastic, but I don't think those ones are ever actually listed as singles.
Okay. Jaemeel.
He doesn't know I'm alive. Does anyone
That's
know
a
that
great
song?
That's
Does
a
anyone
great-
know?
That's a good song.
that's
right?
a really good song.
I'm in the same distinction as Jody as
It's hard. Yeah.
The album
So-
Janet Jackson's Control has 9 songs. 7
Yeah.
of them are singles. Thriller,
Yep.
7 of them are singles. Max, how
Yep.
many are Back in Black?
I think 6.
The only singles
Close.
not on mine are Lady of the Life and Baby Be Mine, I think. Or it's either it's The Girl Is Mine.
Look, Back in Black would not be considered one of the best-selling and one of the greatest rock albums of all time.
You didn't say quintessential. You usually say that. Add that in there.
Yeah, put quintessential in there.
It is a
It
quintessential
makes it
album of the
better.
80s,
Quintessential.
but it's one of the it's widely regarded as one of the greatest rock albums of all time.
By
So-
people who like to play it in arenas. Yes,
Yes.
I completely agree.
Whereas Janet Jackson's Control is influential one for women and influential for R&B,
if you
incorporating
want to
rap.
talk influential, think Thriller, because Thriller is the quintessential. There you go, Max. I
It
gave it
came-
for you.
So Thriller came before
Sound playlist. Like,
Control
this is-
and was a great album.
absolutely.
With a lot of great
Well,
singles. But
And-
Control broke Thriller's consecutive single streak with was it 61 for
And how much of that?
for
How much of that
Thriller
was the
and
fact that the
65
last name was
for Control.
Jackson?
Sorry?
How much
That's
that was-
the
how
difference
much-
between the MTV
much of that
generation
was-
and the non.
How much of that was for the having the last name Jackson there?
Good point.
Janet Jackson's
Good point.
sound
Even though
was totally
it helps me,
different
Good point, Max.
than no. Janet Jackson's sound was completely different than Michael Jackson's.
It was.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
the name was still attached to it. AC/DC
Well,
didn't have any of those names, but
There's a lot of Jacksons in music.
Yes. Oh, let's ask Freddie Jackson and Tito Jackson about their, amazing
Yes,
album
but-
Yeah.
sales.
but
You
everyone
can see what Tito
knew
did.
everyone
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
Janet Jackson was the sister of.
I just
Michael
wish
Jackson.
Max had picked like a Jackson sibling. The other
Yeah.
one. The other
Yeah.
guy.
Where was Latoya's?
Where was
you know?
Latoya being argued for?
I'm not a big Jackson fan, so I
We
couldn't-
all
I
have
couldn't go
our
down that road.
faults. That's clearly one of yours.
I know.
Yeah,
Jeff,
We need you. We need you for this
Screw
part.
this. I'm
Oh,
leaving.
he's
Screw
he's
this.
picking. I think he's picking the winner.
Okay,
here's
here's the
I already know who the winner is.
I would have chosen, guys, and it's not about sales for me.
That's a great album.
That's a great album too. Yeah,
Okay.
I debated on that one.
One I would
Honestly,
have
I'm
chosen.
surprised no one took Talking Heads. I thought that was going to be brought
You know
up.
what? It was a thought of mine, but because I grew up with Thriller and I remember playing it over and over and over again, that's the one I went with.
Okay, so I was really torn between the Jackson arguments here, between Control and Thriller. I'm gonna give this one to Jody, and it was close. I wanted to give it to Jaemeel here, but I think Jody just kind of he came strong. Like
He
Quincy
sandbagged
Jones.
me earlier on.
He
I had a lot of
sandbagged.
catching up to do. I
So
freely admit that.
So Jody gets the point there. AC/DC is not my favorite band. Not that
Me and Jody talked about this before this show started. He's like, just so you know, and I went, fuck.
Yeah,
You changed your answer.
if you picked AC/DC, you're fucked.
You should have changed your answer, dude.
AC/DC is one of those bands where I like their musical playing, but I hate their singer.
They have two. They have two singers.
They're-
It depends on which album. Yeah.
Yeah. And Back in Black is their best album. It is a good album, and
It is a good album.
But the thing is,
I don't hate. I don't hate
it's
Black
not-
and Black at all.
and it's not their fault, but it is like Jody made a great point. They are so overplayed in every sports arena, every radio station. It's just it's stop it already with the AC/DC. Okay.
If there
All
were
right.
more diversity in their songs, I would appreciate it a lot more. That's the
They're like
unfortunate
they're
part.
like an early version of Nickelback.
Yeah, that is a great.
that's low. I don't know.
Actually, I think Nickelback has more
I think
eclectic like songs.
The
Yeah.
Foo
You know.
Fighters are an earlier version of Nickelback. Like,
Whoa, that's
whoa,
a
whoa.
little.
Wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Foo Fighters
David
are-
Grohl,
Yeah,
forgive him.
yeah, right. Like Jesus,
Dave's got to
what?
stick together, I guess.
If
Yeah,
Adam King is watching this, he's dying. He's not. He's hurt a little bit.
Wait, is he
Yeah.
a lover for the Foo Fighters?
He's a big lover for the Foo Fighters. He's going
I
to
like
their
the
show
Foo.
in the summer. Okay. Moving on to I think it's the sports category next. Right?
Is
Sure
it
is.
sports?
I'm excited for this one.
Okay. And we're
Did I-
starting.
I think I have them in the wrong order here. Hold on.
You
Just
you
one
two
second.
take a back seat to this winner.
You can pivot. You can pivot.
We're starting with Jody Simpson. With what is
Let
the
Max
worst-
go first.
No. I want to go last.
What
I want to go last.
What sports franchise has the most pathetic fan base? And this we got to stick to the format, guys. Format. Okay. Jody, what do you have for this answer?
Well, I will openly admit that my first pick was already taken, which I'm sure we're going to hear from Max on. However, I picked the Montreal Canadiens,
Okay.
and the reason why I picked them because this is a fan base that just loves to riot. They're a good rioting thing, and they treat even their own teammates like shit. Like ask Carey Price. Like Carey Price has been ridiculed from Habs fans for years, and he's a fantastic goalie. And you have them always bringing up the 24 Stanley Cups that they've made. That they just once in a while they get, but it takes quite a long time. At least fan bases like the Leafs have understood that they're not going to get another one anytime soon. Whereas the Canadians every year seem to think that they can, and then they don't. And it's just the way the fan base and how Montreal treats hockey it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Okay. Thank you, Jody. Move on to Jaemeel. What did you pick for the most pathetic fan base?
Oh Lord, to me it was a no-brainer, and that is the Sacramento Kings. My gosh, this team is just a train wreck, right? In all sense of the word, from ownership to coaching to draft development to player development to the players to the fans, right? And the fans specifically, how they continue to support this franchise when they've all but abandoned any hope of being anything that is close resembling a successful franchise is insane. Whereas, hey, maybe the sports franchise has a good style of look. Nope. Maybe they have players who want to be there. Nope. The fans can't even enjoy the game. They're throwing up on the court Literally. Sacramento Kings. Worst franchise in sports. Worst fan base in sports.
Go up there, play Sacramento Queens. Okay. All right. We have going last here. Max, what did you choose? Jody already knows your answer.
So, with all due respect to the other two, they are wrong. And I'm going to tell you from a personal experience, the correct answer here, Jody touched on it, is the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base. We are a fan base that has been rooted in over 50 years of pain and suffering, but we keep going back. We keep going in. We lost to a Zamboni driver, and we're still fans. This is a fan base that doesn't understand what winning feels like, and yet we keep sitting in the damn seats. We keep showing up in the stands. We keep turning the damn TV on with the glimmer of hope that one day we're gonna know what it feels like to win a goddamn playoff series. Not even a Stanley Cup, a playoff series. We are pathetic. And I'll never change. Go Leafs, go. Ugh, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Max. So it seems we have, the disgruntled fan base in the Leafs, the abused, they're in an abusive relationship. The Sacramento Kings, they're just lucky they have a team. I don't know what's going on there. And then we have the entitled Montreal Canadiens that just seem like they deserve everything. So I want to hear which one.
This one off. I'm taking control of this. I'm starting this one off because I need to take. I got to take some pot shots of the other two. Jody, I'm sorry, but your pick is the second best pick in the NHL. Yes, Montreal fans are fucking nuts, but they at least have a reason to be. There's a recent bias of success with that team. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They've won a Stanley Cup. It's been a while, but at least they're the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup. Jaemeel, the Sacramento Kings. No one cares about them anyways, so why should their fans? It's a team that no one. It's just forgotten in the NBA anyways. The Leafs are a preeminent franchise in North American sports, and yet and they have done this by being shit for over 50 years, and yet we are still fans. I am still a fan. I know better. I know better than to be a fan of this team, and yet I keep coming back. I watched the game last night. They won 10-7, and it was 7-8 or 8-7 at one point in the third period, and I smiled and went, yeah, they could lose this. And you know what? I'm not even going to be mad. I'm just going to keep watching.
Okay, Jody, quick question. Yeah. Has the Leafs made the playoffs in the last couple of years?
They've gotten to the first round.
Yeah.
And lost, they made the playoffs. And lost in the first round every goddamn time. It's
right?
Beautiful.
But they make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, after
yes.
they did.
Yeah,
go
they
on
do.
An extended streak.
Sacramento Kings? No, they don't do that. Playoffs? No.
Playoffs?
We're talking about playoffs?
Sacramento Kings don't do that. You know what the Sacramento Kings do? They lose. And they lose a lot. Right? And then they get a good draft pick, though. With draft picks, you have a chance of success. Look what happened to Cleveland. They got LeBron James. Right?
But we're not talking about
what happened
the overall
to Atlanta.
Team success.
They got Luka Doncic, and then they traded him for Trae Young. And look,
we're not
both of them are successful.
About team
right?
success. We're talking
right,
about the.
Oh no! This is talking about team success and the fan base that continues to support them as well. Sacramento Kings are so bad as a franchise that when people get traded, they cry. They cry and wish that they no longer play the sport again.
Fan base. It's not about the franchise. The franchise, yes, your franchise is fucking terrible, and the fans have every reason to be because of that.
But
and that doesn't make the fans pathetic. They just want a team that actually is managed correctly, and that's something that you obviously your fan base would definitely say in that scenario. As for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't think the fans are pathetic. The fans know exactly what they're fucking doing. They're paying an over fortune to go watch a team that does really great until the playoffs. And you know what? That doesn't make the fan base pathetic. That just makes the fan base fans. And you know what? That's great. Montreal Canadiens, the fan base openly criticizes their fucking goalie all the time, who has saved them numerous times. They spit off about how they have all these wins, but yet this was back in the heyday. Okay, and yes, the same thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I don't hear Toronto Maple Leafs fans talk about their wins because there was only 6 fucking teams when they last won. And you know what? That doesn't make their fan base pathetic. That just makes them fans. And Max is a perfect example of that. He said "Go Leafs go" right after that. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? I don't think Max is pathetic. And you know what? I don't think the Sacramento Kings fans are pathetic because they have a terrible mismanaged team and they still want to try to support them. They're trying to have some hometown pride. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what? The Montreal Canadiens, the fan base themselves are terrible people. They fucking riot. They fucking cause shit all the time. Even if they win or don't win, they still cause shit. And on top of that, what you end up having is you have a terrible, pathetic, keyword here, pathetic fan base.
I'd like to point this out. So the Leafs started they went 5 years in a row. They've been in the playoffs. They are a good regular season team.
Absolutely.
8 games into the season, a fan threw a jersey on the ice, even though we knew this was going to be a good season.
One fan doesn't make the whole fan base pathetic.
But that's
Agreed.
where we're at with this fan base.
My fan base consistently criticizes their fucking goalie, who is a really good goalie, like top 10 in the league.
Being critical does not make you pathetic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Critical and
it does not make
pathetic
you
are two
pathetic.
completely different things. I agree.
Exactly.
At least the Leafs have even when they were really bad, fans still showed up in droves because we just were pathetic.
Because
That's all we had.
Not
That's
pathetic.
all we had. The
No,
Sacramento
not
Kings
pathetic.
have
That's fans.
the Sacramento Kings have the lowest attendance record in the NBA on average.
That's not true. That's not
yes,
true.
It is.
No,
yes,
it
it
isn't.
is.
You know
The
why?
reason-
Because
the
the
reason-
building only has a certain number of seats. Percentage-wise, they do better than the Spurs, the Pacers, the Pistons, and the Wizards. They are not
The reason
percentage-wise,
the Leafs have one of the
79%
highest
of
ticket
the building
prices
is
is because
filled
their fans
consistently.
them. That's the reason why.
Yeah, they are just ahead of those teams.
Okay.
So you're wrong.
I can't get budget seats to a Leafs game. I can
I,
get budget seats to a Canadiens game.
I didn't think I was going to go this way at the beginning of this round, but Jody's a man after my own heart on this answer, and I have to give it to the Canadians here because I know as a kid going to Hab games that everything he said was
Terrible.
true.
I won't even watch a game if Hab fans are there. Like there's just no point.
They are
I've
the
been to
worst.
Montreal for Leafs Habs games, and they've just been like, yeah, we suck.
It's fine if you think you suck. That's not a problem. That doesn't make you pathetic.
But 50 years of
They-
nothing, and yet Leaf
Failure
fans still
doesn't
show-
denote pathetic fans. That's
Correct.
not
Yes.
the case here.
Try being the Habs who hold on to the glory years of when they only got the only French Canadian players, and like they haven't been good since. And you're right, Jody. They completely just trashed their team
They trash everybody on their team
all the time. The Leaf
If
fans.
you want to play on fucking Canadians, like I don't know why you'd bother. I would just go back to the
I mean,
OHL or something.
Leaf fans do the same thing with our player. Like Freddie Anderson was run out of Toronto because he had a
Now,
bad
if you
season
brought
with
that up,
injuries.
that would have been better
Would have been good.
because I couldn't argue with that. They treated him
People
terribly.
have to get blitz drunk to watch the Kings, and then they throw up because of cheap beer. Because this is the only thing.
This was the best
It's
round.
not
I
really the
listened to,
Kings'
I
fault,
gotta tell you
or
so
is that
far.
the beer?
This was the best
No,
debate so
it's,
far.
it's the team. The team is
Yeah.
awful.
I got heated that one. That one that came from a deep dark place in my heart.
Yeah, it's because you're a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised you picked a team that you actually follow. I'm actually
because-
surprised you didn't pick the Habs.
Because I fully understand what I am, and I know that as
Do you
a
know
Leaf
what-
fan, we are
Do you know,
pathetic.
you know what my answer would have been for this question? The
What?
Tampa Bay Rays.
I know.
That'd be a good question. That'd be a good
good
answer.
one. Yeah.
Because nobody shows up and they even made the World Series. Like nobody cares about that team.
Yeah.
That's
So they don't
that's
have
good
a
one.
fan base.
Or you could have went with Arizona Coyotes. There's another team that is just pathetic.
They have
But
fans?
anyway, they have fans. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the history question. This one's a little bit different. Okay. Find a historical figure or celebrity born on your birthday and argue for their contribution to modern life. Okay,
Wow.
and we're gonna start. This is a weird one, but I thought I would throw you guys a curveball. We are going to go over to Jaemeel Robinson on this one to start off. Who did you
Yes. July 28th, which is a wonderful day because one, I was born, but also
I agree.
Robert Hooke was born as well. Robert Hooke, who I know it's a curveball, right? Robert Hooke created Hooke's law, which is a law in
Oh, okay.
physics He also introduced concepts like the cell, right? The concept of a cell. He did a lot of work in terms of microscopes, and he was an architect. He was a scientist. He was a writer, an influencer. And when we discuss more, I will go into more detail. I give back my time. Let's get this rolling. I want to run over people with this
Ooh.
one.
The original Edison and Tesla, the
Yes.
Newton and Hooke. Okay. Duda, let's go over to you. What do you pick for this?
So I kind of lucked out. I ended up having the same birthday as one of the greatest actresses and humanitarians in Hollywood history, in Audrey Hepburn. I had to look this one up. I had to look this up because I didn't know a lot about her. But the more I read about Audrey Hepburn and her life, the more I was fascinated. Like, this is a woman who is widely regarded as one of the greatest actresses of classical cinema history, and is like one of the most influential humanitarians of her time. She was absolutely incredible, an incredible human being, just from top to bottom. And that I'm gonna go with, that's my answer, Audrey Hepburn.
Okay, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Okay, we move on over to Jody Simpson. What
Jody, hit a home run, please.
I didn't really have as good of a selection as you guys because I'm born on February 25th. However, I did pick somebody who I believe is influential, which is George Harrison of Beatles fame, and obviously one of the most gifted musicians in the world. Well, obviously not anymore because he's now dead, but he was very influential on a lot of for quite a while actually. But he was very influential on a lot of modern music. Whereas, you even have people such as Bob Dylan and various other acts all basically just saying without him we wouldn't have what we have now. And overall, I just think he was very influential on the musical scene. Even to this day, I'm sure we can find guitarists and various other people who, aspire to be as good as George Harrison was. So overall, I just think he's influential. Now, I will agree, you guys have a little bit of a different take on this question, but overall, I just think he was a great musician and obviously a very good mentor to people.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jody. Now we're going into the general debate, and I just kind of want to just say, just argue for how these guys contributed to like the world as we know today, and why these people really influenced how we look at
modern society. Max, can you please go first? I'd love to hear how Audrey Hepburn has helped us in today's world.
So she was actually a huge member, very influential member with UNICEF in the 1980s. She spent a lot of time towards the end of her life working with humanitarian efforts in third world countries to improve life there. This is a person that was born into an aristocratic family, but wanted to spend as much time as possible trying to better the people around, like in areas of the world where they didn't have as much as she did, or didn't have as much as anyone else did, right? Like, this is a woman that used her fame, used the recognition she was given to shine spotlights on serious issues that were going on around the world.
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree that's shown in modern, times, but good attempt.
I remember UNICEF.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I remember UNICEF. Remember the pennies?
You remember UNICEF as like a fading memory that when you were a kid, you were involved with.
You put the pennies.
Let's talk about how about we talk about her film career then, because we're still talking to this day about some of the great, like she was involved in some.
I don't talk about Audrey Hepburn. Sorry.
I'm sorry you don't care for classical film history, but
I do like film history. But
Jeff said it right off the start. Breakfast at Tiffany's is widely regarded as one of the most, one of the best movies.
You know what? You're right. I do talk about Breakfast at Tiffany. I always think about that whitewash scene, with the landlord screaming, with the accent, right? Oh yes, it always comes up as of late. You're right. I'm sorry,
Mickey.
Look, yeah, there are a lot of parts of that movie, that might have had issues with today's day and age, but for its time, it was a absolute masterpiece, and it still is.
Sports
widely
time,
regarded.
great
I
point.
have a snow shovel out front my house. Should I go grab it for you there, Max? Or
But she like that. But she was like, these movies are still widely regarded as some of the best movies in
Of
history.
its time.
In
Of its
history,
time.
Breakfast at Tiffany's is still widely regarded as a classic film.
Of its
And one
time.
of the
there's no arguing that Audrey Hepburn made some good movies. There's no debating that.
Roman Holiday.
Okay?
is
I don't
one of the-
think
one of the-
anybody's debating that, but I
Roman
think
Holiday
the
is one of the
question
greatest love
is
stories
who
of all
has
time.
influenced modern times, and I don't think Audrey Hepburn being dead for as many years as she has been is really
she's
influencing
she's
modern
influenced
media.
modern actors. Modern actors have taken.
Max,
I'm sure there's people that aspire to be
take some
her.
time
Absolutely.
and kind of figure out some stuff. Please, Jody, with George Harrison, can you?
I
can you
definitely
explain?
won't argue with Jaemeel on Robert Hooke. I think he was a fantastic person to do what he did and come up with some of the most interesting things in science.
He also built a lot of the concepts of memory, of retention, repetitive.
Absolutely, and
yeah.
people have used his work and succeeded it. So yeah, absolutely, there's definitely an influence there. I won't argue that.
So
George Harrison has a massive influence on music, still to this day. The Beatles, obviously, without George Harrison, the Beatles wouldn't sound the same. Let's be honest. And with that, I just, overall, I just think the music wise, I think is still influential to today. George Harrison, obviously Robert Dylan, Bob Dylan, obviously, as well as some others, I have cited as him being obviously an early influence to them. And overall, I just think he's overall just a great influencer.
Max, what were you saying?
I said the argument could be made that Audrey Hepburn had a similar impact in her field that George Harrison did in his.
Okay, so
Audrey Hepburn is listed as
it's a product of the times, though, and Audrey Hepburn was a nice face at the time that movie was being made, and that's the reason why she got it. Her acting credit isn't that great. Let's be honest.
My issue with both of your choices is both of your choices. Both of your choices. So, Max, in terms of your choice, I think it's an absolute horrible choice. And that's why I was letting you say what you need to say, because obviously I think that you kind of missed out in terms of what you need to do. Keith Haring was born on your birthday, an activist and AIDS activist and artist, graffiti artist. There was also Lacey Peterson, who was responsible for the Victims of Violence Act, right, which has been an important factor as of late because of its impact with abortion rules as well. Then you also have Horace Mann, who was the father of the common school movement and introduction of public schools in. So
the only problem I really have with this question is the fact that we are limited to our birthdays.
Exactly.
And
although
it is really luck of the draw. And as we said, I was talking with the producer earlier today. And I said, what happens if Gandhi was born on your birthday? You can't tell me that wasn't influential. Stuff like that. So it's hard to argue it. So I agree with Max to a degree, but I think the lottery here for birthdays definitely helped Jaemeel in this one for
thank
sure.
You for I can go on further, but thank you for conceding the point. And I don't think Max has done a good enough job to express how Audrey Hepburn is influential to modern times. So Jeff, I will take my point and we'll move on to the next subject.
Very.
Is that it? Are we time's up here?
I'm good.
For some time, yes, actually.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear it. Okay, yeah. You're correct. Jaemeel is going to get the point on this one, but not because he had the most influential person, but because he argued it with the most passion and creativity. True. And at the same time, the reason I chose this was my daughter was born 2 weeks ago, and we looked up. It was February 12th, and we looked up who was born on this day, and both Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin were both born on February 12th.
Jesus.
And I thought, wow, what those
she
are
hit the lottery.
Yeah, I was like, those are two heavy hitters in his history. And I said, well, let's find out who's born on our contestants' birthdays and see if they can argue. So that's where
I didn't use Terry Fox. Notice that. I didn't use Terry Fox.
You had Terry Fox?
Tay Fox.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He won the lottery on this one.
Yeah, Jesus.
Practically
Jody, if
gave
you
him
did
the
not
point.
pick George Harrison, I would have hammered you so badly because
I had to pick George Harrison.
Yeah, yeah.
Dave, would you have picked Queen Latifah?
I would have had to have picked Queen Latifah for March 18th, or Vanessa
Queen
Williams. I'm not
Latifah
sure.
is definitely influential in music.
Yeah, she
For
is.
Vanessa Williams for having played the first Ryzian character.
Maybe not that one.
Wow.
Right, but yeah, this was. I think that Jody was right that I think the counter argument that Jaemeel made here about like that Maxx didn't pick the best person from his date was probably the best counter argument you could make. Right, so
It's the only one I could think of.
yeah.
That's also why I just backed off because I knew somebody was going to get stomped on in that one.
All right. So
was
Maxx
hoping it
needs this
wasn't me.
point to stay in the game, or
Right.
he's gonna be knocked out here. So just
So
he's about to
just
get
make
knocked
sure
out.
that Maxx doesn't get that point. Okay, thank you for
He's
telling
about
me.
to get knocked out, so it doesn't
We're
matter.
moving over
wild
to the
card.
wild card.
So you say.
So I know.
What Winter Olympic event is the most irrelevant? Seeing as we just had the Winter Olympics and nobody cared, I thought, well, let's pick an event that was even more irrelevant than those Beijing Olympics. So we start this round with Maxx.
So I'm going to go with an event that is basically akin to speed walking in the Summer Olympics, cross country skiing. Jesus Christ. That's got to be the most boring, uninteresting, unnecessary event in Winter Olympic history. Yeah, Devin's got it right. It's treading snow. You were watching people for hours and hours on end, just and like they can't go fast. There's no hills. There's no excitement to it. It's literally just watching people essentially shuffle across snow for 10 to 20 hours with nothing in between. At least the decathlon or the biathlon, whatever it's called, has at least like there's shooting involved. There's some amount of excitement. This is just people shuffling through a little bit of snow for a couple hours, and then one person going, "Woo! I did it faster than anyone else. Way to go!" That's boring and uneventful.
Oh, sorry, that was a mistake.
See, even the producer, the hand of God, was just done with your argument.
No, I was trying to pull him down. Sorry, Jeff. Back.
Okay, we move it on over to Jody. Jody, what is the most irrelevant Winter Olympic event?
You know what's really irrelevant? Nordic combined. And you think cross-country skiing is boring? Put ski jumping in there and then exclude half the population of the world because there's no woman's version of this. Only men can do this one. And for some strange reason, they have no women competing in this. It's not allowed. The IOC has turned it down yet again for this year. Olympics. Maybe they'll get it in 2026. Who knows? However, Nordic combined is basically just cross-country skiing with ski jumping. So every so often they put a ski jump in between the treading of the snow. Now, this
so
does
there's some
sound
excitement
more
to
interesting than yours. However, it's absolutely getting rid of half the population of the world. Half the population of the world cannot compete in this because of the fact that some assholes somewhere have said women can't be in this. Okay, so basically we're completely getting rid of half of the population of the world because of this stupid event. So yes, it is the most irrelevant, stupid crap that I don't want to watch. And you know what? The fact that I can't see women participate, some of the greatest athletes in the world are women, and they can't compete in this because of this crap.
Okay, thank you, Jody.
I'm mad.
Jody's mad. Jaemeel, calm him down or get him more mad. I don't know. What did you pick for the most irrelevant Winter Olympic event?
Well, it was nice seeing you, Jaemeel.
Yeah.
Curling.
Let's see if there's biases here.
Thanks for
Curling.
giving me this win.
Curling's fun to watch. I don't know.
Curling.
Curling's got excitement to it, man.
Boredom personified. Oh my gosh. What a sport curling is, right? What makes an Olympic sport an Olympic sport? Where you see competition amongst a wide variety of countries, the best playing. But when you look at the world curling rankings, you see, one Scot, Canadian, a Dane, Swiss. That's it.
Pretty sure the
Just
Chinese and
repeat it over and
Japanese
over
ones
again.
do pretty well.
No, you'd have to go down to what 21 to see that. You don't really see that at all. Its ratings were abysmal for the Winter Olympics just recently and consistently. It is most irrelevant.
Okay. We're going into the general debate round now. So, okay,
All right,
guys.
I'll start this one to make
Okay.
it quick.
Yep.
Jaemeel, have you ever curled?
I played some shuffleboard before.
That's
Not the same thing. Trust me,
No.
I've done it. And you know what? It does take skill. It takes a lot more skill than people realize. And I, as somebody who has done it, and actually I've done it with somebody on this panel, and
You're
well,
a
not
champion.
that way, but
Well,
Yeah.
and you
I
get-
actually am technically a champion.
I
but-
absolutely agree with you. Curling takes a lot of skill.
but-
A lot of
but-
things
but
take a
there-
lot of
there's a-
skill.
It's not an athletic event. Is complete horseshit.
I never said it was
So
an
I'm
athletic event.
still talking. As for Max picked cross country skiing, which is one half of mine, and
Yeah,
on top
it's
of that, his at least has women allowed in it. They don't
Oh,
allow
sorry.
women to cross country ski and jump in the Olympics, but they can cross country ski. Makes no sense at all, other than we're trying to find a
But
way
that
to
doesn't
exclude
make it
women.
a-
So that
doesn't-
makes it a
so
terrible
your,
event.
Your only
Should be
defense is
irrelevant.
that your only defense
And-
is that it.
I'm
so if
sorry,
they-
I'm
if
still
they-
talking, Max.
If they
And,
included women,
on top of it,
you're-
I can talk
you
louder,
just
so
do
we can
better
keep
than
going
mine.
if you want. Do you want me to
Oh, you
continue
can,
talking
yeah.
over you? Because I'm very
No.
loud and I can do this. Okay, thank you. As for that, you're excluding women, and on top of that, that's just a terrible thing. And on top, and with that being said, it should be completely irrelevant, and it is because no one fucking watches it. It is terrible. More people watch curling. Okay, and as Jaemeel has said, curling
the Olympics.
is a boring, non-athletic event. Apparently,
I didn't say
which
that.
I completely disagree with.
I didn't
Okay,
say
well,
that.
and not only that, with curling, there's at least some like there's room for like if a score is 9-8 going into like the final set.
There's
like, that's
excitement in curling.
Yes, there's passion, there's
Absolutely.
excitement, there's drama.
It's a fun thing
but-
to watch.
Jody, the only thing missing from your event is women. All they have to do is
Yes.
add that in the next Olympics, and it's already better
The
than
fairer
cross-country
sex,
skiing.
my friend.
It's already got better
The
than cross
ones who bring
Cross-
life.
Your event has at least an aspect of excitement to it. Cross,
Yeah.
you already
It's
said
not exciting when it's men.
you said that
It's boring.
my event is only one half of yours.
That's
it is-
right.
Oh, and it's the boring half. It's the
But it's an
unexciting half.
endurance test. It's an endurance test that is allowed. Women and men are both allowed to
You can do
compete in that
endurance-
endurance test.
That-
Mine has
There's
the
a
worst
mock
ratings.
endurance test that also has a little bit of showmanship to it.
The
Men
biathlon is an
even
endurance
play
test.
in.
The
Mine has the worst
biathlon is an
ratings.
endurance test too, and that's at least got shooting. It's got something involved in it. Cross country skiing is
North
just
doesn't have any
shuffling on
shooting in it.
snow.
Max, let me ask you this: what's more exciting, shooting something or jumping far?
Both are more exciting than cross country skiing.
Right, but which one of those two is more exciting?
You got to
I'd
pick
say
one.
jumping.
It'd be
I'd say
exciting if they
jumping is-
don't get there and they just stand in front of the targets and take shots all the time.
I would say jumping just because you might fall and break something. You never know, right? Shooting, you're just shooting.
So
at a
you're
target.
hoping for injuries on the world's best athletes.
No, I'm saying that there's more risk involved to it, and that makes it more exciting.
There's risk involved in curling. You get hit with one of those rocks, you're having a bad day.
I never said that curling
absolutely.
was unathletic. I just said there's a very minimal
implied
representative.
it.
What? I didn't imply it. You
Well,
just
I think you did.
distributed
You
it.
did.
That's your issue, not mine.
and
I
if
just
we're
think it was
talking-
limited
and we're talking
representation
about-
in the worldwide. Two, it was a ratings disaster, right? Worldwide, and also for NBC specifically, I should state.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
assuming you're taking those numbers from the American market, which would make sense.
Yeah,
So irrelevant,
it
right?
did
It's
well in
only a
Canada.
couple of markets that are even competing in that specific sport.
So what we're
Right?
gonna we're gonna
Whereas there's more representation worldwide with yours.
I'll watch curling before I watch guys tread snow.
That's
any day.
great. You'll watch
Any
curling,
day.
but this is talking
Thank you,
about
Jody.
which one's the
Thank
most
you.
irrelevant overall, not you.
I wouldn't disagree with Devin on that one.
But
Okay.
no, Jody, you've said it yourself. Like the treading, you'd watch someone curl before you watch them tread snow. That's what that's
Max,
cross country skiing. That is
Max,
cross country
your-
skiing. You're
your
defending my
argument
point.
doesn't work when you have Jody's that excludes half of a gender.
But all you need to
Absolutely.
do, all you need to fix Jody's issue is
Legitimately.
add a gender. There's nothing
Okay.
to fix cross-country skiing. It is just a shitty, boring sport.
That does
It's
better
an
ratings
endurance
than
race.
curling.
And you know what? Endurance is hard. Cross country skiing is hard. I did it in high school. It is
Okay.
fucking hard.
It does better
And
ratings
so-
than
so is-
curling.
So is yours, but yours at least has
Absolutely.
jumping
But
involved.
mine does the terrible thing of excluding half the
Nothing-
population of the world.
You can fix
Okay.
that by adding the adding woman
Jeff
to it. That's
made
an
his
easy
decision.
fix.
I've made my decision, and actually, I'm very kind of impressed with this person's answer. I have to go with Jody's on this one because
Thank you.
this is the reason why Jody's event is so irrelevant. They don't even do it anymore.
Yep.
Number two, they're so irrelevant. They only allowed one gender to play it. What
Yep.
is so irrelevant that there's already cross country skiing and ski jumping, and they combined them for some reason. For really no real reason.
I didn't have to argue all my points that I have written down. That's how irrelevant mine is.
So I have to give Jody the point on that.
Bye, Max.
It's
Max,
I
I was more competing to make sure that it was just me and Jody as opposed to you.
Yeah, I knew what you were doing there, Jaemeel, but I just let you run.
Jody
But-
takes 3 in a row here.
Yeah, he was
Right?
down 2-1.
I'm
Yeah.
just calling me the comeback kid.
I believe it should have been 3-3, but what can you
Hey,
say?
back off.
Well, it would've
Max,
been
you did a
2-3.
great job, though. Good job.
He argued well for Avatar.
That's super condescending.
Oh no! Like,
Well, at least
should
you have
see me-
time to wax your porn stash now.
You should see me be condescending. Is what's his name? I even forget his name.
Look.
He's irrelevant. Seymour. There you go.
Chris Seymour.
That's condescending.
guys.
You mean
Yeah,
current
one
champion
recently.
Chris Seymour?
Current champion.
It's a paper champion. Okay, paper champion.
Like, all I'm saying with the last one though, like you could have fixed it just by adding woman. Like that's an easy fix. There's literally nothing to fix cross country skiing from being boring. Like at least they tried to make it Nordic skiing or whatever the fuck it's called.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Max. You're eliminated.
I
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
The thing
so we
with
got
the cross
speed
country
round now.
skiing, it's like one of the
Oh, I
original
love you,
sports.
Max. I love you, Max.
I
So,
tried.
Max too.
So
Okay.
so Jody and Jaemeel specifically for speed round here. Max, if you just want to turn off your camera, maybe. But we'll
Turn
just go
off
to
his camera. Wow.
Well, just
Turn
to
off your
help us
camera. No one wants to see you anymore, Max.
come back at the end. Come back after the speed round's over.
I'll miss you, Max.
Yeah. Just to keep us focused here. All right,
Jody,
Jeff,
nice to see you again.
All
Hey,
right.
Jaemeel, I think we've been here before.
Yes.
So Jody has a 1-point lead going into this speed round.
Okay, we are going to the speed round. And
Soon
we
to be
kind of-
2 points.
And we follow very similar paths here of going through the movies, TVs, the same categories we did, but you guys you got to be a little quicker here than we just went through all these other questions.
30 seconds
I'm ready.
each. So
I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
So the way we do it now is you get 30 seconds. Whoever puts their hand up first and says their answer first gets to
hand
go
up first.
We
Yeah.
don't have to hand up, do we?
Or whoever claims first, whatever you want to say.
All right.
And then
We
30
just blurt it
seconds
out, right?
back, 30 seconds. So a total of 2 minutes total, and then Jeff has to make a decision. So
All right.
all right. So Jeff, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Speed round movies.
Movies. Okay, here we go. What is the best song to win an Oscar? And take your time. You don't have to come up with it right away. I will continue talking until somebody answers.
Only the
My
speed
heart will
round.
go on by Celine Dion.
Okay,
All right,
and
Jody.
Jaemeel.
Well, he has to say his. I can.
Okay, all right, Jody, you go
respond.
first, and then Jaemeel can wait.
It is known for that movie. If you hear that song come up, you remember sitting in the cinema for 3 hours, your ass was hurting, and you were watching Leonardo DiCaprio die for no reason because Kate Winslet wouldn't allow him on the goddamn door. And you know what? That song it's an emotional song. It's a fantastically done song, and just overall the song, it just encapsulates everything about that movie, the tragedy of the movie,
Your
the
rebuttal.
love story, everything about it.
Okay, Jaemeel.
Clock started.
Oh, clock started already.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do.
You can just
Let
give
It
me the
Go
point if you want.
from Frozen.
Oh wow! See, yeah, I was wondering if someone was going to choose that. Okay, go ahead.
Let It Go from Frozen is a wonderful song that incorporates Idina Menzel's breathtaking vocals and and uses it to propel the story of Frozen. It is the only reason why you would watch that entire film whatsoever. It is the best song from that entire album, and
Your rebuttal.
Frozen. That song instantly aggravates me. Because I remember having to sit through this movie 1,000 times, it instantly aggravates me. Whereas when I think of the song that Celine Dion did, it is just an epic song. It's an epic ballad, and it reminds me of those times. And it reminds me of the story, the loss, the tragedy of the entire event, as well as, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio not having to die. But past that, that Frozen song just kills me.
My Heart Will Go On is a mediocre song at best. It is heavily reliant on the amazing score that Titanic has to build its elements of its actual song. It is not a good song, and what you talked about was more about the movie. Let It Go is a wonderful tale that kind of encapsulates the themes of the entire movie
category,
and it is a major important part of the actual movie itself. And the growth of the character. It is a brilliantly written song. Idina Menzel's vocals propelled it to stardom.
Okay. Jaemeel gets the point on this one.
That's how you
that
do it,
is
Max.
horseshit, and you know
That's
it.
how you do it.
Jeff, I know where you live.
He argued so well for Frozen. He really
He
explained.
argued. He spent half of his time going, okay, yeah, that was an argument. Okay.
No,
I
I
know
beat
where
you in the
you live.
rebuttal.
I'm
He
just saying
argued
that.
more for the song, where I felt.
But it's the movie question.
Jaemeel harped a little bit more on Leonardo DiCaprio not having to die when he really could have.
But that's what the song reminds me of.
Okay. Well,
Anyway, that's
Damn it,
fine.
I just showed that you can.
If I'm going to lose a point to anybody, I'm glad I lost it to Jaemeel
yep.
and not Max.
Plus, we had an iconic Trivial Debates moment in the middle of that.
What was that?
Jody was so good sticking it to Max with that song. So good.
Okay, TV speed round question. What TV show had the best intro music?
Good times.
All right, Jody, 30 seconds.
Hanging in the challenge.
Every time you hear that, you automatically think of the fantastic show that it is. And you know what? It just encapsulates everything about the good times. And I love that. And it was just a fantastic song. It was just fun.
All right.
Rebuttal.
Cheers.
Your rebuttal.
Cheers. Making the way in the world today takes everything you got. I can
Whining
actually
all the
sing my
time
theme
when you
song
see it.
because you actually didn't do Good Times. You did Sanford and Son.
Oh shit! You're right. Fuck!
Yep.
I meant to say Sanford and Son.
Jaemeel for the point. Thank you.
He's right.
I don't even know if we need rebuttals on this one. I think
No, it's fine. Just give it to him. I fucked that one up.
Jaemeel gets the point.
I told it. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Fucking Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son is a great theme song.
It is a great theme song.
I saw Jameel's face light up.
Yeah. I can't believe I said Good Times. Fuck.
Okay.
Good Times was a good show too, though.
It was. Okay. Moving on to music. Whose music was the best adapted to a Broadway musical?
Can you?
That's a hard one.
Can you specify? Are we talking about a specific artist?
You can do whatever
who
you want.
Had their album adapted to a Broadway musical, or are
Yeah,
we
you can do
talking
that.
about a person who's created music that's best been adapted to Broadway musical?
Oh, okay. So you're saying like Lin-Manuel Miranda or whatever, and you could
Versus, let's say, Jersey Boys.
You can pick. You can pick either. You could. I will not argue. Either one's fine. You can just be like, I want to pick, Frankie Valli's music or whatever, or Jersey Boys or whatever.
Jody, you can if you want to.
You already answered, didn't you?
I didn't
thought you said
answer.
Jersey Boys.
I was just asking for clarification on it.
I have to look something up because I got to remember exactly who it was. But
Okay.
This is a tough question. I should have answered such a tough question.
it's a hard one because there's a lot of
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's who I
the
thought it
different
was.
angles for it.
Different angles.
Is someone going first?
You know what? I'll go first.
Producer
Tommy.
Dave's getting mad.
Tommy.
He's like the time.
Tommy.
Tommy. Okay. All right. Go
Which
ahead.
is obviously the Who, and more importantly, Pete Townsend. And it was a book that he wrote, which obviously ended up turning into a musical. But it's basically a rock opera, so it obviously encapsulates exactly what the Who was all about. And just overall, it was a good. I'm just trying to remember the name of the damn musical, quite honestly. And I kept thinking Pinball Wizard, and I'm like, what? But
Your rebuttal.
obviously, that's not right.
Um,
You can just give it to me, Jaemeel, if you want. That's fine.
okay, I'm going to take Elton John, right, and his work made into the Lion King musical.
Okay.
It is one, the songs were great, but also they were able to take those songs and then also make it into something that was even greater with the musical. The musical, Broadway musical, is considered light years better than the actual animated feature.
Your rebuttal.
I don't think the music was actually adapted. It was made for the movie, and then they just modified it slightly for the musical. So I don't think that that's really in the true tradition of the thing. Mine was made for the musical. So it was essentially an idea that was obviously then adapted over to the musical. Whereas I don't think the Lion King one was. Most of the songs are really closely untouched. And they were originally featured in the movie. So I don't think that adapted is really the best word to describe that.
Your rebuttal.
It was adapted, not conceived. Whose music was best adapted? The Lion King was, because they adapted it to the actual Broadway musical. So
Playing it in a different location doesn't make it adapted.
you said slight changes, so they made slight changes, whereas the Who's Tommy
Slight
was
changes.
created for the musical, not adapted.
Well, mostly the changes were for cueing, but yeah, they're
So it was
almost all
adapted.
original.
It was adapted, not conceived for a Broadway musical.
The very loosest definition of adapted, I guess, is what you're going for.
Okay. Jody gets a point on this.
Yeah,
one.
Jody gets the point. I'm going to argue that point.
It was a good try, though. Okay, I think
That was a good pick, though, Jaemeel. You had me for a minute, and then I'm
You're
like,
wait, what?
but it really wasn't modified much.
It wasn't modified much at all.
No,
I was thinking because
just
Jim
visual cues. That's about it.
Meatloaf and Jim Steinman just recently passed away, and I've been watching a little bit of Bat Out of the Hell, the musical. So that's where the genesis for that question came
I didn't even know there was a Bat Out of Hell musical.
Yeah, there was.
That sounds awesome.
Yep. It is pretty awesome.
Great album.
Okay, sports. What sports franchise needs to move to a new city immediately?
The Toronto Maple Leafs. Move them anywhere. Get them out of Toronto. That'll fix that problem right away. Literally, give it to Halifax or something. Like
Markham, maybe.
any, you know what? Do a full reset on that franchise and just move on. It's, you know what? The Maple Leafs, yes, they have a great tradition of failure. And you know what? It's great that I'm still have to pay $400 to get a good seat. And in reality, let's move it to Saskatchewan
Your
or something.
rebuttal.
Arizona Coyotes, when you have to switch to a 5,000 seater arena, that means
Just so you can fill the
the
seats.
city interest is done. Move it to anywhere, and you could probably fill up 10,000. This is like, put in Quebec City, bam, instant, like 10,000 seater arena is going to be filled. This is a no-brainer.
Well, you could put Toronto in there too.
Your rebuttal.
No problem. I don't have a rebuttal under the fact that people actually watch the Leafs, so moving them to somewhere else would still enable that. Where does anybody actually watch the Coyotes? I don't think they do. So I don't think moving them is going to help anything in that scenario.
They don't want your reject franchise.
Well,
Gavin doesn't want the Leafs.
They won't move it there anyway because there's only one plane in and out, isn't there?
Your rebuttal.
Phoenix moving to anywhere would actually, like the Coyotes moving to anywhere. Sorry, it's not Phoenix, it's Arizona. Anywhere will actually drastically improve. There are cities that are hungry for hockey, any type of hockey, and therefore they would love to see it. We've seen with other franchises when they move, there is an uptake. Oklahoma City, as an example, for basketball.
Okay. I'm gonna give this one to Jaemeel. They are pathetic.
Right,
Nothing more to be said.
What's the score right now
5-4.
for who?
Jaemeel.
Jameel?
I stole that
Oh,
one
Jaemeel.
from you. That Good Times one.
You know what though? I totally fucked it up.
Okay. I think is it history next? Which war seems more unnecessary? America in Afghanistan or Russia in Ukraine?
That's a hard one. They're both
Yeah.
stupid.
America in Afghanistan is
Okay,
more
Jaemeel.
unnecessary. The reason for that is Russia fighting in Ukraine is based upon that Ukraine was possibly going to join NATO, and with NATO countries joining NATO, Russia perceives that as an actual direct threat to their sovereignty. So therefore, they're preemptively trying to expand its borders and its controls so that it prevents anything like that happening. They were
Your
previously
rebuttal.
fighting in Georgia as well.
The Russians want nothing more than to take territory. It has nothing to do with their sovereignty. It's all about trying to make the glory of the USSR back again. America had to go to Afghanistan because they armed them at one point, and then it was a big mistake. And the problem is that the Afghanistan military ended up doing terrible things. And yes, of course, let's not offshoot Ukraine at all, but Ukraine is a glorious country,
Your rebuttal.
and they're trying to stay themselves. It's so unnecessary.
Well, Russia in Ukraine is unnecessary. I agree. A lot
Completely.
more than America in Afghanistan.
Now the Americans had to undo what they did.
No, which they continue to do.
Well,
They
some
continue
would
to
say they're
still-
not, but anyway,
They're continuing to indirectly or directly
Russia's move is just a territory take. That's all it is.
terrorism in Afghanistan and its partners as well. So they're not really doing
Your
much,
rebuttal.
just kind of spinning wheels a lot of the time. Whereas
It's completely unnecessary to take Ukraine. The USSR is not going to be a major power like they used to be in the 80s, in the 70s. It is a completely unnecessary war that's not going to end well for anybody. War never does anyway, let's be honest. But the Afghanistan people were armed by the Americans. The Americans made terrible decisions, and it is necessary. They have to control that environment now because they caused it. Whereas Ukraine didn't cause this thing. Russia is just simply trying to flex power and trying to bring back the glorious USSR that was defeated 30 years ago.
Ukraine did cause it because
Totally
they
unnecessary.
were
Because they were
possibly
looking into joining a
and
global
Russia
economy.
could not let that
Yeah.
happen, and that's why they were getting involved.
Russia can definitely let it happen. It
What
wouldn't
is
hurt
it
them at
good
all.
for? If you ask me, absolutely not.
They're already not a superpower.
They're not trying to be a superpower. They're just trying to make sure.
Absolutely,
that
they are. They're taking over the US. They're trying to make the USSR again. That's
Nope.
exactly what they're doing.
Nope.
It's totally unnecessary.
Even though
They're not
Disagree.
going to be the former glory. that they
disagree.
used to
And
be.
what's the result of Afghanistan? We're exactly back where we started. So it was completely
Just because the
unnecessary. waste of
result
time.
does not denote that it's necessary or unnecessary. The result is the result, and unnecessary to me is exactly what's going on in Ukraine right now. People are dying for no fucking reason other than some power hungry asshole decides he wants to try to make the USSR glory again. That's all that's happening. Afghanistan was a
They're
completely different
protecting their
situation.
sovereignty. They're protecting their sovereignty.
They're not
because
protecting shit. The only thing
They
they're
are.
protecting is his pockets.
I
That's all
disagree.
they're trying to do.
Okay. I'm gonna give this one to Jaemeel. I mean, no, sorry, Jody.
That was a fake out.
Look at
That
me!
was-
I had to pick Russia.
I was
Defend Russia.
I meant Jody. I don't know why I said Jaemeel.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jody wins this one. He is pretty correct with a lot of what he's saying.
Yes, he was correct in all of his facts.
A lot of
I follow that one pretty closely.
A lot of what's going on in Ukraine right now has
Yeah,
to do
terrible.
with pipelines and
Yeah.
oil and all a bunch of stuff like that. But okay, let's go on to the last and final question. It's a wild card question for all the marbles. You're hungry for breakfast.
McDonald's. Already said it
I
first.
think Jody got it first. So.
Okay, so number one, Jaemeel tried to pick the answer that I got in first, so obviously he agrees with that. The other thing is the McDonald's breakfast just tastes better. Everything about it tastes better. Have you been to Tim Hortons and had anything to do with eggs? It's a sponge. Like I can go to the dollar store and get a sponge that might actually taste better. It is absolutely terrible. They have these bacon bloody wraps that are terrible as well. Everything about Tim Hortons has gone downhill. It's a garbage company now. McDonald's has taken complete advantage
Your
of that,
rebuttal.
and they've
Tim
done well.
Hortons. My gosh, this is the second time you're talking over my time. Tim Hortons is a breakfast staple. It is a breakfast staple for a simple reason, and that is bagels. It's wonderful bagels. It's different types of bagels. The
Frozen.
everything bagel, the plain bagel, the bagel with cheese, the bagel with cream cheese. You don't need to get eggs. There's a variety of options you have, whereas with McDonald's, people only get their burger-esque breakfast offerings. But no, Tim Hortons, you have bagels, you have donuts,
Your rebuttal.
you have soup.
You can get hot cakes there. You can get a whole slew of things. They have interesting things that will get your kids to eat breakfast, like McGriddles. They have the wraps. They have all that stuff, and they're
Burger
constantly trying new things. And they're not trying to present what would be classed as not really food. Tim Hortons has gone downhill from day one since the whole acquisition stuff has happened, and it is making a garbage product that everybody is just. If they're going to go, they're only going out of absolute sheer
Your rebuttal.
habit.
McDonald's gives people the runs. Its burger meat
Never had
is
it.
terrible and mediocre. You never had it, so you've never had a McGriddle. You never
No,
had.
I've never had the
a-
runs from
No,
McDonald's.
I don't think you were responding to that part of my
I
comment.
think you
were
need to
talking
tell me
about
what
the
I'm
runs.
interpreting.
The McGriddle is offering is just basically the exact same thing as the egg
a completely
McMuffin.
different
It's the
experience.
exact same thing.
Totally
Tim
different
Hortons has a
experience.
variety of options that all taste good, right? The bagels
Bullshit.
are great. You're just talking over me. Bagels are awesome. You have
Sorry, it's a
soup
debate show.
options. So you're not just ingesting a physical
You
thing.
eat
can
soup
get a
for you eat soup for
You just-
breakfast. That makes
Yes,
no
soup
sense
is
at all.
perfectly
We're not
fine.
talking about the
They
entire
mostly
bloody
sell
menu.
soup
We're
for
talking about breakfast. It
great.
says right there, breakfast.
Yeah, you
breakfast.
have soup for breakfast.
You even
Cold
picked my
Canadian
answer
winter.
first. This is a
Cold-
no-brainer. I win.
Cold Canadian winters. You know what? In retrospect, that's why I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't have picked McDonald's because McDonald's.
Yeah,
is
in
terrible.
retrospect,
That's why-
whatever.
Yeah.
You tried to get
gave
it,
me
you didn't
enough
get it.
time, and during your discussion, I was like, "No, I hate McDonald's."
Yeah,
Well,
sure
I
you
haven't
do.
had McDonald's
Sure you
in
do.
years. Why?
If you want the
Because
runs,
it's
go eat
terrible.
go to Tim Hortons.
I feel for a bagel right now. Cream cheese bagel,
Yeah,
slightly
yeah,
toasted.
a-
You can
yeah.
you have variety on your options. What variety can you have in terms of McDonald's
I can
stuff?
get
You can't say,
muffins.
hey,
I can
oh,
get muffins there that
can-
taste
can you
fantastic.
slightly toast
I can get
my-
egg
my
McMuffin
egg
stuff.
McMuffin?
I can
No, they
get
burn it.
breakfast
They
sandwiches. I
burn
can
it.
get a whole
Every
slew of
single
things.
time.
I can get the
I've never
BLT
met an
breakfast
egg
sandwiches.
McMuffin that is not
I can
burned.
get bacon.
all
The
the
bacon
time.
actually tastes good. The eggs actually taste good.
No, the eggs are terrible.
I
They
will-
Shut
pour
up!
it out
I'm
of a
hungover
bottle.
and now I'm hungry.
They put it in a bottle onto it. It's
I
not
will
even
say-
real eggs.
I will say the one thing that is great about Trivial Debates is that we can go into an argument of geopolitics between Afghanistan and Ukraine,
And then we get into egg McMuffins,
and then we can get into who makes an egg better
which is clearly McDonald's.
at a fast food restaurant in Canada.
No, it doesn't. It's just poured out of a bottle, and
Um,
it's like everything you mentioned just has eggs. Where's the variety?
I will also say on the way over here, no, but before this podcast started, I was talking to Adam King, and he was going through a drive-through of a certain restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And he ordered a double toasted bagel with cream cheese. That's why Jaemeel wins this point.
So clearly it has nothing to do with argument then.
No, well, it did, but it was.
What do you mean? No, it did.
It's horseshit. This is
Don't
biased. I told you from the minute that this was going to start that this was going to be biased, and it was.
Thank you, contestants. We'll bring Max back in for a little bit, but we will congratulate Jaemeel on his win.
I'm not congratulating him. I call for a recount and Jody Simpson 2024. And I'm going to go join the Republican Party. No, I'm just kidding. Jaemeel, congratulations.
Thank you, Jody.
I
you,
was
Jody.
gonna kill you.
However, I
all.
think that answer is horseshit.
You may disagree with it, but I think I argued it well.
Max
You
Dave,
totally wanted McDonald's and you didn't get it.
Max
That's
Dave
all.
did did Jaemeel do Tim Hortons justice?
I think that his bagel argument was very
Yeah.
creative.
It
I
is
thought
the bagel defense and to Tim Hortons' defense, they don't do the sponge eggs anymore. They do actually have like real eggs, like McDonald's
eggs
does.
suck.
Yeah, it only took them how many years?
But they're
Eggs
still shit.
suck. They
But
They
Jameel's
still
right.
suck ass.
Tim Hortons bagels are absolutely top level shit. Like that is if you're
You've clearly never had a good bagel then.
It's frozen bagels. It's you know.
Yeah, they're not amazing, but at the
No.
same time,
But I can get it posted how I want.
If there's a bagel place there, go there and then tell me if they're good bagels.
But in terms of McDonald's and Tim Hortons, I'm taking Tim Hortons bagel over anything from McDonald's any day.
Well, to be honest, I don't think I've ever had a bagel at McDonald's.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
I also like
there's no
And
toasted
bagels are
variety.
about the only safe thing to eat at Tim Hortons.
I also like the argument that Jaemeel made that you can get other things at Tim Hortons at in the morning. You don't only have to get breakfast food. McDonald's, it's like you must order an egg McMuffin, and that's it.
Well,
That's all
that's
you
because some things come frozen and some things don't.
It's true. It's
it
true.
was a good debate because I thought there was good points on both sides. So
For
it could have
sure.
gone either way.
A lot of McDonald's stuff is frozen. Like majority of
frozen.
stuff.
Oh, well, both places have that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say the most entertaining for me today was like the sports question you guys had about the pathetic sports franchise. That was you all had a lot of passion in that one, and then
You don't say.
yeah, this one at the end was really good too.
And thank you, Max, for gifting me that Adina Menzel brilliant song.
You son of a bitch!
Max is the reason why this show is biased.
I was going to lose my mind. I was like, "Are you fucking?"
I think I'm gonna go
kidding
fight
me?
some mandates now.
Ugh.
That was true then. It's not true now.
Well, that's the whole point of the debate. I don't like for a lot of the things. I don't particularly care. I don't have a horse in
I
the race.
said going into this that I wasn't going to win it because of Jeff. That's the exact reason why,
So
and I was
Jody,
right.
Jody, we need to compete again with a different host. Maybe Max.
That's fine.
You guys didn't know Jeff was the host.
I
We
would,
just find out.
I would love to host you two. I think I
No,
could
but
give
when I came in this morning, that was the first thing I said.
I would love to host you
I'm
two.
not
'cause
going to win.
being the fact that you
I
guys
can't break Jeff. I can break everybody else, but I can't break Jeff.
the fact that you guys are so good at arguing and like I think I could get and I'm probably the youngest person here right now. I think I'd get it'd be a very interesting debate for you two to come at me with that. I'd have a lot of fun. I would really
Who's the
enjoy
best
that.
TikTok star currently making content?
See, and there you go. You just lost it because I don't watch.
You're
TikTok.
supposed to be the young guy.
who's hot on the Insta?
Well, yeah. What's going on with the
It's
TikToks?
Insta.
I'm,
All right, Jeff.
I'm old at heart, man.
Okay, all right.
Jeff,
I
take
think
us away here.
We have some other shows, though, don't we?
Oh, should we plug our other shows, Dave?
We should plug our other shows, Jeff. That's a great idea. What else do we got going on? Well, of course, Trivial Debates, our monthly channel here. I'll make myself big here. Our monthly channel where you just saw we are about movies, TV, sports, and more. We'll have an episode at the end of March. Davin's already clamoring to be the next host, or he wants a Jaemeel host. He wants to host with Jaemeel, Jody, and Seymour again.
Oh no! Wait! Can I host with Jaemeel, Jody, and Davin? I think that'd be an absolute.
I'm sure we can
bloodbath.
work something
That's-
out. Yes,
That'll rock your socks.
That'll be one hell of a go.
That'll shook you all night long.
In all honesty, though, I am very glad for Jaemeel. You did fight very much. I am just kidding about the bias thing, by the way. And you did really well. I will remind you, though, that I still have way more wins than you do.
A lot more wins than me.
But he's catching up.
lot.
He's catching up.
Hey,
Um,
I thought I did pretty well going up against
You
two
did.
heavyweights.
You did. Look, I'm sorry for busting your
Well,
balls.
You went through the juggernauts here. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I thought I did well for my
The
first time
fact that
going.
you got a point, Max, was good.
You would have crushed Chris Seymour. Crushed him.
Also,
easy.
we have another channel called Super Mater Brothers Podcasting.
We are brothers!
Where Jeff and Jaemeel and I often talk about all kinds of different TV shows, and reality, scripted and unscripted.
You
We just
talking
finished.
about breakfast, though?
No, not breakfast specifically.
Oh, okay.
But we just wrapped up our coverage of Celebrity Big Brother 3 this past Wednesday. We didn't do every single episode of the show because, my God, there were so many episodes of that show in February. But we followed the whole season, so check out our coverage over there. We got Survivor season 42 starting up very soon. I think it's this Wednesday it's going to be starting. Or is it Big Brother Canada 10? I can't remember which one's starting first. It's Big Brother is starting first. Okay, so Big Brother Canada 10 is starting up this week, and we're going to be doing a cast preview and draft at some point soon. Maybe even today. I've got to talk to Jaemeel and Jeff about that. And then Survivor season 42, probably the following weekend, we'll be previewing that cast and doing the draft over there. We got Marvel coverage over on that channel, including most recently we talked about Hawkeye. Jeff and I also talked about Ozark some time ago. And you can check out all our different playlists for our different shows over there as well. Check out our third channel, Live Long and Podcast, a Star Trek themed channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time. On Monday nights with Jody Simpson and Adam Woodward, and Kevin Millard, we talk about Jaemeel bias win. We talk about Star Trek Enterprise, all of those watching all those episodes and covering them over there. Tuesday nights, Star Trek Deep Space Nine with Jeff Mader and the Millards and Davin Skellhorn from Locutors of Trek and myself. We're now into season 5. We're going to be talking about the Ryza episode this next Tuesday. And then on Thursdays, we talk about the newest episode of Star Trek. Right now, it's Star Trek Discovery Season 4, as we're getting into like episode 10, featuring Michael Chan.
Sorry, correction. Discovery's own
Michael Chan.
Thank you.
From that show. But also, Star Trek Picard is starting up this Thursday. And so this Thursday, both shows are going to be dropping. So I got to talk to Jaemeel. I got to talk to, Jody and Adam about how we're going to do that. Because I don't think it's real. Well, because we got Discovery and Picard dropping on Thursday, and I don't know if we can fit both podcasts on Thursday, so we might have to do one on Saturday.
It's easy. You just push aside the shitty show.
A super show. A super
So we'll
show.
do Picard, and then you do Discovery a day later.
Yeah, it's very simple there. Also, we do a thing called Star Trek Radio Theater where we reenact the Star Trek episodes. And coming up most recently we did Looking for Parmak in All the Wrong Places. I will be doing the edited version of that this week and posting that over on our channel. But coming up next Saturday to celebrate the beginning of Star Trek Picard's second season, we are going to be doing our next episode, which is Hiding Q, featuring Jody Simpson as Q. I'll be playing Picard. We got Steve Shives coming back to play Commander Riker.
I'm very excited for Steve.
Yeah, Steve's coming back over. He joined us in season 2 of Radio Theater. We got Discovery's own Michael Chan playing Data. We got Jeff Mader playing a young helmsman, Geordie LaForge, long before he was down fixing coolant leaks.
No coolant leaks on this episode.
No, you got to fly the ship instead, Jeff. And then
He'll be going.
Go.
Jamie are playing Crusher. So this one's gonna be a lot of fun. This will be a Sunday, March 5th at 9:30 p.m. start. Okay. So I think that's all the shows. Also, check out Davin's podcasts. He's got Locutors of Trek, his Star Trek themed channel. He just did a Debate 9, I think, with Adam Woodward the other night.
Yes, I watched it. It was good.
And then he's also got X-Men, the animated series rewatch, X-Rated. He just interviewed, along with his partner Andre from that podcast, they interviewed Eric and Julia Lewald, who were the executive producers and showrunners of X-Men, the animated series. They did like an hour-and-a-half interview over there. It was excellent. I would really recommend checking that out. And I think that's it. Let's talk about fighting games. Eamon Mader's podcast you can find over on Spotify and all kinds of other audio channels. He does under his alias Sam Jerka. So check that out. And then there's if I'm going to plug other podcasts, then Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn also have the Hellbound podcast, a horror themed podcast they do every Wednesday with a new horror theme. Okay.
Thank you, Dave, for all of those great plugs. All right, join us next month when it looks like we will have Davin join these wonderful contestants for a new version of Trivial Debates.
Oh, yeah. I'm on the X-Men podcast on Tuesday. Check that out.
All right, don't forget about that. Or don't forget about Locutors of Trek.
I don't think I want to be on on the podcast that Davin's got planned because apparently every question's going to be about Frozen. So, yeah.
Well, I think we need to see a debate 9 all about Frozen. Okay, but until next time,
Frozen's influence on Star Trek, or vice versa.
who is the Elsa of Deep Space Nine? Okay. All right, thanks, guys. It was a great debate and talk, and looking forward to the next one.
Congratulations, Jaemeel.
I don't have to decide
Congratulations.
who wins these things.
Great job, fellas.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on Trivial Debates.
Just remember, guys, space is cold. Frozen.